What's up, everybody? Brian Zabirik here, coming at you live with our very first video on our YouTube channel. Been clinging and wanting to do this for quite a while now, and I think that this is the perfect time to do so. Itching towards the end of a pretty crazy year, 2020. A lot of those ambitious entrepreneurs, people looking to take action in the new year. I want to explain the Amazon FBA model and a little crash course with some basic information for you to kind of see if this is going to be an option for you guys in the new year. So let's dive into things right now. I'm going to start off essentially with a quick little overview of what the Amazon FBA model is. I've been doing Amazon for the past couple years now. It's allowed me to quit my job as well as my twin brother and my business partner to quit our jobs simultaneously with the passive income that we've been able to essentially get on a monthly basis through the model. So FBA, first question people probably ask, what does it stand for? Fulfillment by Amazon. What this essentially means is you're going to be investing into inventory on the front end, most likely sourcing it from China, and sending into Amazon's distribution network wherever you sell. The biggest market is easily in the United States. That's where I sell predominantly. But once an order is gone through on the Amazon platform, Amazon's minions in their warehouses are going to go pick the order and send it directly into the customer's address. Now, I wanted to dive into a little bit of statistics essentially, just to kind of give you a high-level opportunity of what Amazon is like current state, what it's been like over the past couple years. Amazon dominates the e-commerce market with a market share of over 45%. Its net revenue grew by nearly $50 billion in 2019. Almost 1 in 3 Americans have an Amazon Prime membership. Now with Amazon FBA, you get access to those Prime delivery options. A lot of people, including myself, if I were to put myself in the consumer's shoes, I'd go onto Amazon to get that 2-day delivery. And you're going to be able to take advantage of that with this model. And there were over 250 sellers, so we're talking about FBA sellers here or merchants with over $100,000 in sales in 2019. That, first thing that comes to mind, a lot of people think it's starting to get saturated, it's starting to get competitive. But what I can say is a lot of people are still making a ton of money, making a living on it, including myself. So to start next, I wanted to just break down the 4 steps included to launch your product on Amazon. The first thing, I like to call it infrastructure. We'll go into these in a little bit more detail. The next is finding your product, which is essentially the biggest thing. It'll make or break your business. So spending a lot of time in this bucket is crucial, and it's definitely a key to success here. The next is sourcing your product and then launching your product. I wanted to just go over quickly a couple different approaches that you can take with Amazon. One is more of a general store approach and one is a branded store approach. So the general store is essentially where you sell anything profitable not pertaining to a particular niche. These are for essentially individuals looking to gain an extra source of income, not looking to essentially build a business asset. Where the branded store, we call it private labeling. So this is where you essentially source your product, you put a brand name behind it, you're building a brand identity across the Amazon platform as a Kickstarter. And these are for individuals, like I said, that are looking to build a business asset and are most likely looking to exit out of that within 2, 3, 4, 5 years, whatever that time frame looks like for you. Now we're going to go into essentially each step into a little bit more detail. First step being the infrastructure. The first portion of it is your legal structure. So you want to make sure you have your legal infrastructure in place before you start anything, because you want to start tying all of your expenses to your business. So what this essentially means is setting up either an LLC or an incorporation, depending on where you live, within your state or province. I live in Canada. That's why I'm saying province. I have to incorporate as opposed to getting an LLC. So I want to put that into perspective for you guys. Once you get those legal documents, you're going to be able to file for an employer identification number with the IRS in the United States. This is going to allow you to file taxes against your business in the United States specifically, considering we're going to be launching on the United States platform. The next portion is your financial structure. So again, doing it right off the bat, you're going to want to go set up a business bank account that is tied to your legal structure. Okay, so depending on where it is, you're just gonna need to make sure that you have a USD checkings account. In Canada, it's very common to get a cross-border account where you have both a Canadian and a USD checkings account. On top of this, in the Amazon and e-commerce field, something that's extremely common to do is get a virtual bank account. There are banks such as OFX, there's banks such as TransferWise that you can set this up. And the reason you want to do that, especially if you're living in Canada, is they have much better conversion rates and fees associated to the business. Just a quick little tip there. And then lastly, setting up your Amazon Seller Central account. You want to make sure you want to go with the professional plan. The differences between the professional and the individual. Your professional is going to give you access to Prime Delivery for one, and the fee structure is a little bit different. You have to pay an additional, I believe it's additional dollar per unit sold in an individual account, but there's no monthly fee, where the Amazon Seller Central professional account costs $39.99 per month. Let's dive into the most important step, step 2, which is product research. So first of all, I'm gonna just kind of explain a couple of the most common product research softwares out there. You're definitely gonna wanna do this because at the end of the day, we are gonna want to verify data to make data-driven and educated decisions. We have Viral Launch, Jungle Scout, and Helium 10. I personally am a big fan of Viral Launch. I've been using it since the get-go. I've had a great experience with it. It's user-friendly. But again, Jungle Scout and Helium 10 are extremely popular as well. So kind of diving into the parameters and the criteria that we look for when searching for a product. The first thing is we're looking for revenue. You know, at the end of the day, we want to find a product that actually we can get an ROI on. So in my opinion, it's safe to find products that are selling consistently over $5,000 in revenue. And the reason we want that, again, it just shows data that we're going to be able to get a return on our investment for the money that we put into the business from the get-go. You want to make sure that you look for essentially the sales depth of that and make sure people are consistently making $5,000 in revenue on the first page. The next part is low competition. This is easily one of the most important things. I like to look for products under a 300 review count. And what that tells me is the barrier to entry is a little bit lower. With that said, I want to be finding products that have historically been selling and increasing over time. If I can get into a market where the reviews are low to start, but I know that it's been increasing, eventually reviews increase, you box out competition, and it's more of a monopoly in that way. The next point is high demand. In order for us to establish demand, we want to look at the BSR, which stands for bestseller rank, and that specifically pertains to the rank of the product within the category it's selling in. That's telling us, you know, there's billions of products on Amazon. Let's say you're selling in home and kitchen. If you find a couple under the 3,000 mark, that tells us people are constantly searching up that keyword, therefore there's demand. The next, again, we chatted a little bit about this. We're aiming for an ROI, and ideally on your first order, you want to aim for at least 100% ROI so you can get all your money back to reinvest into your next product or next inventory order. Lastly is the profit margin. Searching for a margin over 35% in profit will allow you to run a sustainable business where you can reinvest the profits back into other products, increased orders, etc., etc. The size tier is also extremely common to look for. You know, I encourage people to look for products between that $10 to $50 price point on the get-go. And the reason for that, it's purely just a lower risk investment. So within that price point, we look for standard size products, either a small or a large standard size product, because as you can imagine, the other classification is oversize. The larger the product is, the heavier the product is, it costs more for Amazon to ship that out, therefore they take a larger fee. So within that price point, in order for us to sustain that good profit margin, we want to look for standard size products. Something that a lot of people miss out on, and I think it's extremely important, is an opportunity to differentiate your product. I think it's extremely crucial because this allows you to give yourself a competitive edge, especially when you're entering in a market that people have historically been selling, have higher reviews. This will allow you to sell more organically because people are appealed to that. In order to find that opportunity to differentiate, the best way is just to look at what customers are saying. Again, we're relying on data and we're making data-driven decisions in order to come to a conclusion on a product here. So we got to listen to our customers, and it's super simple to do just by looking at our competitors' listings. What we're going to want to do is find a product, especially for your first one, that isn't seasonal or a fad. And the best way to check that is simply just going on Google Trends and just looking for historical data to see how it's been increasing over time. And lastly, you want to walk into your business understanding what your budget is. What you're going to want to do is adjust all of these parameters accordingly and find products that meet your budget. Diving into step 3 here, sourcing. So I mentioned this earlier, but often we're going to be sourcing products from China just because you're going to have the highest margin. It's cheaper cost to manufacture there. A very common platform people are using is Alibaba, including myself. The first step, when you find your product, you're going to want to go onto the Alibaba platform and reach out to suppliers within your niche or your industry. You're going to go in and order samples from those suppliers. The reason you want to order samples, in ideal state, you're ordering anywhere between 2 to 3, if not more than that, and you're talking to multiple suppliers. The reason we want to order from multiple suppliers is purely just so that we can determine who has the best quality. There are different things that we want to establish when we're actually choosing our supplier, which is the second part to the sourcing stage. We want to make sure, one, quality is great with the samples, and you want to do like a full functionality test. You want to put it to use as if your customers are going to put it to use. The other things that you want to look for more so on the emotional side of things is, obviously these guys are from China. English is their second language. They may not have the best grammar. With that said, you want to make sure that they're able to still communicate with you and understand what you're saying. And you want to make sure that you understand what they're saying. And lastly, make sure they have a good response time and a turnaround time with that. The next part is negotiating for your purchase invoice. And there's different things that you're going to want to do with this. And you can get creative by all means, but some common terms that you're going to want to negotiate on is a 30% deposit with 70% on the balance. You're going to want to negotiate that sample cost back. We're running a business here. Every single dollar counts. So negotiate that back as a discount on the end balance. You want to make sure that you're getting a pre-shipment inspection, and you want to put that onto the purchase invoice to make sure that that's in writing. And any discounts related to late production. Lastly, your logistical aspect of things. So getting your product from point A to point B, I would encourage everyone to work with a freight forwarder that is knowledgeable within the Amazon space. That way it can be something that's completely hands-off for you. There's a lot more to go into that, and we'll probably be making videos to kind of go through more specifics on that. Lastly, step 4, the fun part, the launch stage. So this launch stage that I'm going to break down for you is specifically for more of the branded store approach, because I highly believe in that. That's what I've been doing over the past few years here. So the first thing is your branding. So you want to think of a brand name to give yourself an identity. People out there on the Amazon platform current state are not doing this, and this is going to be a huge differentiation point for you. And down the road, if you do this right off the get-go, you can eventually scale off of Amazon, have your own branded website. You can get into retail distribution, wholesale distribution, whatever that looks like, and having that brand identity is going to allow you to do so. You're going to want to create your infographics. So we're going to go into the listing optimization stage here. And this is pretty much where you're going to create your infographics according to your brand style guide. On top of that, you're going to want to make sure that these infographics are displaying features, benefits, any kind of competitive advantage that you have, okay? And when it comes to all of the copywriting, that you do extensive research in order to fully optimize your listing from a search engine standpoint. So doing keyword research and making sure that your title, your bullet points, your product description, your back-end search terms, and your subject matter are all highly contained with those keywords. We want to make sure that we're trying to get as much real estate across the Amazon platform as possible, and having these keywords in your back end or on your front listing is going to help you do so. The third stage to the launch is building out a ranking strategy. So diving into your keyword research, you're going to want to try to identify 3 to 5 of your top keywords in order to rank your product on Amazon. This is going to give you a kickstart into eventually getting organic sales. As you can imagine, again, put yourself in the consumer's shoes here. I don't know how often I'll go past the second page, if not the first page. So being ranked for your high volume converting keywords from the get-go, once you build reviews, you're going to start seeing a lot of sales. Now, the last part is the launch method. There's a bunch of different things that you can do here. Very commonly, there is a method called rank and bank where you essentially give away units in order to rank your product onto the Amazon platform. You're mimicking sales velocity based off of the search volume of the keywords and your competitors, and it's going to allow you to go from page, let's say 50 to page 1. Alternatively, you can look into agency use in order to take this off your plate, or you can do PPC launches, which is pay-per-click advertising, which is on the Amazon platform. What this will allow you to do is sustain a pretty organic rank, which is nice, but it can be costly, especially if you don't know what you're doing here. So that is it, everyone. If you enjoyed this, the information that was provided, make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel. We're going to be providing a lot of content, a lot of value to you guys at no cost. Make sure to follow us on our social platforms at the Zab Twins on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok. And lastly, we're going to be starting up a podcast interviewing young entrepreneurs to get people's names out there to give advice to those ambitious people looking to kickstart their career in entrepreneurship. So follow at the.youngstartup. Hope you guys enjoyed.